Hantavirus, the silent killer that just struck a cruise ship. 3 people are dead. A cruise ship is drifting in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. 147 passengers and crew from 23 countries are sealed on board, while governments scramble to figure out who else has been exposed. And the killer? It didn't come from a lab. It came from a mouse. More specifically, from the dried urine of a mouse in a field in Argentina that one man unknowingly walked through during a bird-watching trip. By the time he boarded that cruise ship on April 1st, 2026, he had no idea the virus was already inside him. 10 days later, he was dead. His wife would be dead within 2 weeks. A third passenger died on board the ship while it floated helplessly in the South Atlantic. This is the story of Hantavirus, one of the oldest and deadliest viruses on the planet. By the end of this, you will understand exactly what it is, how it kills, why scientists are watching it carefully right now, and what you need to do to protect yourself and your family. Hantavirus is not a single virus. It is a family of viruses. Scientists have identified more than 50 different species, each living inside a specific type of rodent as its permanent home. Here is the critical thing. The rodent doesn't get sick. The virus and the rodent have evolved together over millions of years, reaching a biological peace. Humans are what scientists call a dead-end host. We are not part of this virus's natural life cycle. When we get infected, the virus attacks fast. In the Americas, the virus attacks your lungs, causing Hantavirus pulmonary syndrome. The air sacs fill with fluid. Breathing becomes impossible without a machine. The case fatality rate reaches 38 to 50%. In Europe and Asia, different strains attack the kidneys and blood vessels, causing hemorrhagic fever with renal syndrome. The fatality rate there is generally below 15%, but still significant. The WHO estimates between 60,000 and 100,000 people are infected with hantavirus globally every year. This is not a rare disease. It's a global health problem that simply doesn't make the news until a cruise ship is involved. To understand why this virus scares scientists, you need to know its history. During the Korean War in the 1950s, more than 3,000 soldiers became mysteriously ill with fever, internal bleeding, and kidney failure. It wasn't until 1978 that a South Korean virologist finally tracked the virus to rodents near the Hantan River and named it after that location. For decades, the Western world ignored hantavirus as an old world problem. That changed in May of 1993 in the Four Corners region of the United States. A healthy 19-year-old Navajo man was rushed to an emergency room and couldn't breathe. When investigators searched for more cases, they found a pattern: flu-like symptoms, then catastrophic lung failure within 48 hours. By the end of 1993, 48 Americans were infected. 27 of them, 56%, were dead. Scientists isolated a brand new hantavirus strain they named Sin Nombre virus, the virus with no name. The natural reservoir was the ordinary western deer mouse found all across the American Southwest. An unusual El Niño weather pattern in 1992 had caused an explosion in piñon pine nuts, the deer mouse's main food source. More food meant more mice. More mice meant more virus circulating. Climate had quietly engineered a deadly outbreak. After that outbreak, scientists surveyed South America and found a new strain in Argentina named the Andes virus. Here is where the science becomes deeply important. The Andes virus is different from every other hantavirus on Earth in one critical way. It can spread from human to human. Every other strain requires direct contact with infected rodent excreta. The Andes virus is the single exception. It has been documented in peer-reviewed journals to pass between people through close, prolonged physical contact with someone who is already sick. Since 1995, Argentina has recorded more than 1,200 confirmed cases. The fatality rate is approximately 40%. In 2025, Argentina was reporting double the number of infections compared to the year before. This is the exact strain responsible for the 2026 cruise ship outbreak, which is why governments reacted with such urgency. Now let's talk about how this virus actually gets inside you. The vast majority of hantavirus infections happen through a single act: breathing. An infected mouse urinates in an enclosed space, a garage, a storage room, a barn, an attic. That material dries out over days or weeks. Then a human enters that space. Maybe they're cleaning. Maybe they're opening old boxes. The moment that dried material is disturbed, billions of viral particles become aerosolized, invisible, weightless, suspended in the air. They are breathed directly into the deepest part of the lungs. That's the entire infection event. One breath in the wrong room at the wrong time. Once inside the lungs, the virus targets specific cells. But here is what makes hantavirus so deadly. The virus doesn't actually destroy your lungs directly. Your own immune system does. When your immune system detects the infection, it launches a massive inflammatory response. This cytokine storm makes the tiny blood vessels in your lungs leak fluid directly into the air sacs. Your lungs fill from the inside. In the worst cases, patients drown in their own immune response. For the Andes virus, there is also human-to-human transmission through sustained, intimate contact with someone symptomatic. Saliva, respiratory secretions, shared bedding, prolonged time in an enclosed space. This is not airborne spread like measles. It requires direct, close, extended contact. The incubation period ranges from 4 to 42 days. That wide window is exactly what made the cruise ship outbreak so complex. Here is how hantavirus kills. Phase 1 begins like the world's most unremarkable illness. High fever, severe muscle pain, crushing headache, profound exhaustion, nausea, vomiting. Most doctors dismiss this as the flu. This is the trap. Between day 4 and day 10, phase 2 begins. The blood vessels in the lungs leak. Fluid pours into the air sacs. The patient suddenly can't breathe. Oxygen levels plummet. The heart fails. Blood pressure collapses. Without immediate intensive care, without a ventilator, the patient is dead within hours. Early diagnosis is difficult. The CDC states that in the first 3 days, the virus is essentially invisible on standard tests. So doctors send people home with flu advice, and by the time phase 2 hits, the patient is crashing before anyone understands what's happening. The MV Hondius departed Ushuaia on April 1st, 2026. It was a luxury expedition cruise carrying nearly 200 passengers bound for Antarctica and the South Atlantic's most remote islands. The index case was a 70-year-old Dutchman who had spent 4 months on a birdwatching trip through Chile, Uruguay, and Argentina. He had returned to Ushuaia just 4 days before departure. By April 6th, he began feeling unwell. Fever, abdominal pain, headache. On April 11th, he died on board. The cause was listed as unknown. His wife began showing symptoms on April 24th. She went ashore at St. Helena, a remote British island in the South Atlantic. On April 25th, she boarded a commercial flight to Johannesburg. She collapsed on the plane. She died the following day. A post-mortem test confirmed hantavirus. A third passenger died on board on May 2nd. A fourth was medically evacuated. On May 2nd, the World Health Organization was notified. By then, passengers from 23 countries had scattered to 6 continents. The contact tracing operation was unprecedented. The UK parachuted military personnel onto Tristan da Cunha to assess a British passenger. France identified 8 nationals. Singapore quarantined residents. Canada quarantined people in 2 provinces. As of today, 9 cases have been confirmed. 3 people are dead. Passengers are in isolation across more than 20 countries. Now for the most important question: what can be done? As of 2026, there is no approved antiviral drug for hantavirus. There is no vaccine. Not for any strain. Not anywhere in the world. After more than 30 years of research, the medical world's best response is still supportive care. In severe cases, immediate admission to intensive care. Mechanical ventilation, vasopressor drugs, extremely careful fluid management. In the most critical cases, ECMO, a machine that takes blood out of the body, oxygenates it externally, and pumps it back in. When ECMO is started early, survival rates reach approximately 80%. But ECMO only exists in major hospitals in wealthy countries. In rural areas where most exposures happen, it doesn't exist. Prevention is not just the first option, it is the only option. Here are the rules that save lives. Never sweep or vacuum dry rodent droppings. Ever. The moment you sweep them, you aerosolize the virus. Instead, ventilate the space for at least 30 minutes. Wear an N95 respirator, rubber gloves, and eye protection. Wet the droppings with a bleach solution before you touch them. Wipe. Don't sweep. Seal entry points in your home. A mouse can fit through a gap the size of a pencil. Store all food in sealed containers. Remove wood piles and debris from within 30 meters of your house. If you develop fever and severe muscle aches within 6 weeks of being in an endemic area, go to a hospital and tell the doctor exactly where you've been. Those words could save your life. Can hantavirus become a pandemic? The honest answer is no. Hantavirus does not spread like influenza or COVID-19. It requires close, prolonged contact. There is no evidence of it transmitting across a room or in brief encounters, but scientists are watching. The Andes virus is the only hantavirus with confirmed human-to-human transmission, and the genetic mechanisms are not yet fully understood. We have no pharmaceutical defenses if the virus were to change. Argentina reported nearly double its usual caseload in 2025. Climate change is expanding rodent habitats, exposing populations with no natural immunity. The virus is not a pandemic threat today, but it warns of threats the world is unprepared for. Hantavirus has lived quietly inside rodents for millions of years. In most years, only a few hundred people cross its path. But when they do, the consequences are catastrophic. In 1993, it revealed itself with a 56% kill rate. In 2025, it walked past every guard in a Santa Fe gated community and killed a woman whose husband the world knew. In 2026, it boarded a cruise ship and scattered across 23 countries. And right now, it's circulating in rodent populations across 6 continents, in fields near your holiday cabin, in attics. You cannot panic about this. You can prepare for it. Remember the rules. Never disturb rodent droppings without protection. Seal your home. Store your food correctly. Know the symptoms. This virus is not going away. But your risk of dying from it is almost entirely in your hands. Knowledge is the only vaccine that currently exists for hantavirus. You now have it.